All right, I had to do this. Lake Speed is testing AMSOIL OE against all kinds of other stuff uh, for the cheapest motor oil test. I mean, who wouldn't want to watch this? AMSOIL OE against everything else. I mean, kind of crazy to see what Lake Speed would do on this dyno test. So I had to just dig in a little bit more to see what these guys are doing. So customers send me this stuff all the time. I'm Ken, AMSOIL dealer, been a dealer since 2008. We sell millions of dollars of AMSOIL a year all over the United States and Canada. So I've been doing this a while. I'm not a tribologist. I'm no specialist. I'm just really good at helping my customers with AMSOIL products. And I get questions all the time. This is going to be one of them, and I know it. Well, guys, I have to say I've dug a little bit into things, and I just got to ask, Lake, what are you doing? So as we see here, he's building this 450 horsepower flat tappet engine to test all of these oils. Well, they're testing what seems to be Dexos motor oils. In flat tappet engines, why wouldn't you test the Dexos spec in an engine designed for Dexos spec? Flat tappet engines, anyways, need a high zinc, high phosphorus ZDDP pack motor oil for as long as I've ever known. Now, maybe they're trying this out to see, do these oils handle that sort of stuff? They might. But in all honesty, that's not what Dexos motor oils are designed for. And guys, remember, Dexos is just a licensing play. It's GM's way of getting more money from their customers because now the manufacturers have to pay like 40 cents a gallon just to have the label on the bottle. AMSOIL doesn't do that. We have it in text. We don't have the fancy Dexos approved ring because many of our customers own Fords and Dodge and Hondas and Toyotas. Why should they pay an extra 40 cents a gallon for a licensing play? If you ask me, this is Mr. Wonderful just putting out one of his other gimmicks, you know? If you watch the Shark Tank show, where they're always trying to just license something and make a quick buck and not have to do anything, same thing GM did because, let's be honest, the big three have been losing market share for years to Honda and Toyota and a lot of the Japanese markets. So they had to do something to make money. GM Dexos was just their play on how to make money. You don't have to have a special Dexos spec oil. You just have to follow the owner's manual and find the API rated spec for your vehicle. It doesn't even have to have Dexos on the bottle. And under the Magnus Moss Warranty Act, if they said you needed it for warranty, they'd have to provide it for free. So that's a federal FTC law. That's not an AMSOIL law. That's not a me law. That's a government law that's been in place for years to protect the consumers. But I want to go through some of this stuff and kind of break it down because as I'm looking at it, sorry, I've been pulling on my beard just watching this video like, wait a sec, that's cool, that's cool. Wait, AMSOIL's the one that lost? So not really saying it lost, but I want to see some more of the data. Where was the fuel dilution? How was the oxidation? Was the Super Tech the one that won because of one thing, and then the AMSOIL won because of another, and then the Royal Purple for another? Which one was the best overall oil over time? And that's something we kind of didn't get through here. We just seen the total wear metals that they reduced and see through here. Not even really a way to compare all of them, but this tin, oh, got the ads now. We can't scroll through. Maybe I'll have to just mute this to get through the ad. So I'm looking through some of this stuff here, and you know, you don't have all the samples side by side. So that would be something like I think we would like to see. Whenever we're looking at this too, you're just talking about the wear metals, total wear that you're seeing, but which wear is it? The reason why I'm going to ask that is because wherever the wear is coming from, if it's the flat tappet cams, your package of the, what'd you call it? The MODTC. That is basically a zinc replacement. So The new modern engines can't have zinc in them because it clogs the catalytic converters. So they use this new molybdenum in them to protect the catalytic converters from getting all the wear, or all the clogging up of the catalytic converter. So they use the MODT in place of zinc. That's why motor oils have been changing over the years, because you do get some blow by and it goes out the exhaust, and the exhaust is going to catch it. Well, you don't want to clog your exhaust, the catalytic converters and mufflers and stuff like that. So they started changing all the additives, sulfated ash, the molybdenum, ZDDP packages started to come down. So there's all kinds of different ways that people are using to reduce wear and keep the emission systems happy. And the problem is you guys are testing these new oils on an engine that isn't designed to use these oils. So in these oil, in that engine, you would want to probably run AMSOIL Z-Rod, a high zinc motor oil. That would be the one you'd want to run. Or maybe the racing oil, since it's a 450 horsepower engine. Most cars on the road today aren't 450 horse with flat tappets. They're usually turbocharged. Or even AMSOIL's Premium Protection, the oldest motor oil that was a full synthetic that's still on the market today, the AMO, I believe it is. Yep, AMO is our product code on the bottle, which meant AMSOIL motor oil. And this is basically the same oil we made back in the late 60s and early 70s. That was the first API rated synthetic motor oil. It's right there, the first one. Why did everyone else wait until, the 70s or late 70s, early 80s, and 90s to start making synthetics? I don't know, but it is what it is. They're making too much money. Profit, was king. So you're testing OE. I don't even carry much of the OE. I only have it in 520. I don't even carry it in 530 because none of my customers really want the OE. But if you're going to test it because it meets the spec, you could do that. Or you could have tested the XL. I believe it still meets the spec too for the Dexos. But okay, so I'm going to keep throwing some of this stuff under the bus. What's it all mean? Whenever you're looking at the new specs on stuff, so this is SP, resource conserving, SN plus, this is the API ratings, GF6A. Now we have GF7 is out of March of 25. Man, there's so many specs, so many things to deal with. I just use the AMSOIL lookup guide and it tells me what to use for each person's vehicle. This kind of engine is predating that sort of stuff. It's a 450 horsepower stroker engine. It's designed for high zinc motor oils. So whenever you start putting in a newer design motor oil that's made for turbocharged direct injection, you're going to get different things here. And this is probably why you're seeing less of the wear in the engine using the cheap motor oil with the good additive thrown into it, because it's a cheap base stock. Let's see this motor oil run all the way out on a 7,000 mile typical oil change today. How did it compare? Put it in a high boost situation in a GM Ecotech or a Ford EcoBoost. How are those oils going to compare differently in that engine instead of a 450 horsepower carbureted engine? It's going to be completely different. Fuel additive's going to be there, or fuel dilution is going to be there. You're going to see just different ways, timing chains and timing chain stretch. You're going to have soot from the direct injection. Things are going to change a whole bunch. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just fired up over all this. You're testing GM Dexos based oil on an old school engine, and it's just not designed for that. Is it going to work? Sure. But those flat tappet camshaft engines were designed to have a high zinc, high phosphorus oil for the most part. Now, this one's, you're showing this sort of stuff on this engine. Great. But put in a GM Ecotech, put in a Ford EcoBoost. Heck, even one of the new, what do they call the Hercules engine or whatever it is from Ram and Stellantis, their inline turbocharged engine. Throw something else in there that is a turbo direct injected engine that is not a big block or small block Chevy, to actually test what these oils were designed for. And if you want to get real crazy, then you start testing, all right, how much harm is this thing putting out the exhaust? into the catalytic converter, because that's going to make a big difference. The other thing is the MODTC products, they're really bad with copper. They can corrode and galvanize copper. And that could hurt things because some of these newer engines have that. And now I didn't read into it too much yet, but I was seeing some things from National Oil and Lube News where they're talking about, is copper the new zinc? So if you're going to be throwing copper in with a oil that has the MODTC in it, are you going to start destroying the oil within itself, the engine? Is it going to start causing wear? The big thing is we don't see much problem with these old school flat tappet, big block, small block engines in today's use, because they don't use them. No one drives this kind of engine down the road. If you want to test these oils with the problems that they're going to see, then you're going to want to test that engine. So Lake, Motor Oil Geek, man, I can see why the Walmart oil and Napa oils, the Valvoline basically would win, because it's a oil that's designed for those old school engines. Now, how about the Valvoline Restore and Protect in this engine? How would that do? Because I think it's going to have different additives, and it's not going to have the same kind of properties in it that the Napa brand is. I think it was a Napa. I'm all getting confused now. So, or the, yeah, Napa, basically made by Valvoline. Now, I know you're a Valvoline fan. That's great, cool, but it's one of them things. Whenever you start looking at this, I can't even get the stop on the right one. Go to there. Nope, there. Nope, there. Nope, there. Nope, there. There. Hold on. Why can't YouTube just work right? Oh, well. Well, the difference in all these oils and that engine really don't mix together. So if you want to chat about some of this stuff, get a hold of me. SwitchSynthetics.com, best way to hit me up, and we can go over some of this stuff. I wish I had access to your dyno. That'd be kind of fun. But I will say, you're testing the wrong oils, or the right oils, in the wrong engine. So maybe before we say that the cheapest oil won this one, let's see the data of all of them compared to one another, so we can see the fuel dilution, the oxidation, the total wear metals that you're going by. Also, let's actually test the GM rated oils, or Dexos approved oils, in a modern Dexos using engine. Kind of makes sense, right? Like, why would we use new stuff and old stuff? Well, you guys get the point. Anyways, if this made any sense, sorry I didn't take my ADHD medicine yet today. I hope this helps. Let's see what we can figure out together on, is this test even valuable at all? It could just be fluff, and knowing that that cheaper oil had that additive that is good for flat tappet cams might have been a setup the whole time. I'll let you guys decide. This is Ken signing off, SwitchSynthetics.com. Thanks a bunch. I'll see you next time.